He thought he could do anything. Stumbling drunk, reeking of booze and arrogance, he laughed in the face of the Queen's guard. He snatched the soldier's iconic bearskin hat, waving it like a trophy, certain there would be no consequences. But he was dead wrong. Crowds of tourists gathered around Buckingham Palace to admire the Queen's guard. Among them stood out one particular figure, a massive, sweaty, red-faced man stumbling toward the honor guard. This tourist, let's call him Frank, was completely hammered, so much so that the stench of sweat and alcohol radiated off him from several feet away. A wave of booze and unwashed body odor hit people like a radioactive blast. Instinctively, they stepped aside, grimacing and turning their heads away. But Frank couldn't care less. "Ha ha! Look at that! A royal rooster!" he rasped, jabbing a finger at the guard. The guardsman stood motionless, like a statue. Trained through years of service, he didn't react to anything. "Hey, you who? I'm talking to you, golden boy," Frank slurred, stepping forward. He could barely stay on his feet, but he staggered toward the guardsman, grinning maliciously. The crowd began whispering. Some pulled out their phones. Frank let out a loud burp and looked up at the guard. "You even alive in there? Or do you just have stuffing instead of brains under that hat?" He laughed drunkenly. "See, in America we don't do this. At least we get paid for stuff like this." The guardsman remained still. "You know what, buddy? You're way too uptight. Let me help you loosen up." With that, he stretched out his greasy, sweaty hand and yanked the bearskin hat off the guard's head. The crowd froze. This was an absolute outrage. Someone gasped, others laughed, thinking it was some kind of street performance. Frank triumphantly waved the massive hat around. "Ha ha! Look at this, people!" And he didn't even flinch. He shook the hat like a trophy. "British traditions, huh? So fancy." The guardsman, by protocol, wasn't allowed to move. He couldn't retrieve the hat himself, but his fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Frank stepped even closer. Now he was right up in the guard's face. The stench of sweat and booze was unbearable, but the guardsman maintained his composure. "What's wrong? Come on, take it back," Frank taunted, waving the hat in front of him. "Oh, wait, you can't, huh? You're just a scarecrow in red." Some spectators started shouting angrily, "Put it down, you fat pig!" "Show some respect, idiot." But Frank was unstoppable. He did something unimaginable. He placed the royal guard's hat onto his own sweaty, greasy head. That was the final straw. The guardsman suddenly stepped forward. "Put the hat on the ground and step back immediately!" His voice thundered over the crowd. Frank nearly dropped the hat. His drunken face twisted in fear. Whoa, man, why so aggressive? We're just having fun." The guardsman, gritting his teeth, took another step toward him. "Step back immediately!" The crowd erupted. The guard had broken protocol. Frank was dumbfounded. His flushed face suddenly turned pale. He hadn't expected the statue to come alive and transform into a terrifying force. Okay, chill out, dude," he mumbled, hastily taking off the hat. "It was just a joke." The guardsman snatched the hat back and stood firm. "Leave the palace grounds." Security was already closing in. The crowd buzzed with murmurs. Laughter had turned into hushed whispers. Frank took a few steps back. He looked pathetic. He was no longer a winner. He was just a drunken clown about to be thrown out. As security escorted Frank away, voices erupted around him. "What a disgrace. This isn't America, buddy. What a moron." Frank tried to protest. "Hey guys, we were just messing around. What's the big deal?" But at that moment, a tourist lifted their phone. "Say cheese, you're about to go viral." Frank realized the horrifying truth. Thousands of people were already recording him. "No, stop!" he shouted. But it was too late. The footage was already live. Frank was blacklisted from tourism sites. His face turned into a meme, and social media exploded with debates over his behavior. His disrespect for the Royal Guard had turned into worldwide humiliation. Meanwhile, the guardsman calmly adjusted his hat and returned to his post. Everything continued as usual, because tradition and honor aren't so easily broken.